blue moon, you saw me standing alone without a dream in my heart.
I thought, I thought I'd get the lyrics edition up just in case you wanted to know the tune, man.
Yeah, I got to learn it from Sunday. No, it's a tune.
Exactly. Big up for coming on, man. Big up everyone watching. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. Give us your comments down below. Obviously, bringing on Lawless, big West Ham fan ahead of the game on Sunday, City versus West Ham. You guys know the score. City need to win. City win the title. Am I right in saying West Ham are done now in the league? They can't move. Is that right?
No, I don't think so. Well, we definitely can't move up, but I think we are officially ninth. Yeah, I think we've got ninth is sealed, so we can't drop down the table. Yeah, because we're 4 points ahead of Brighton. Yeah, so we're ninth no matter what.
Yeah. Okay. Thoughts on the game, mate? Are you gonna be singing Blue Moon? Like, what's the situation with you? Are you wanting to spoil the party? Are you wanting City to win the league? Or are you just not really that arsed? You'll just go with the flow.
No, listen, I want to enjoy the party. I'm there for the party. Let's celebrate. You know what I mean? I want Man City to win the league. Yeah, I do not want Arsenal to win the league at all, like in any way, shape, or form. And I definitely don't want to have my team contribute to those. Like, I'm not even going to say what I want to say. Them lot winning the league. I just don't want to see it. So yeah, like, you know, Man City all the way. I'm there for it. You know, our season's done. Regardless, our last game was against Luton. You know what I mean? Now we're just going to see Man City lift the trophy.
You think if you look back at some of the games that City have played over the years, funny enough, actually, we actually played you once, and that was the calmest last day game that we've ever had. Out of the 4 that we've had, we played QPR, which obviously high level stress. We played West Ham, which was 2-0, and the calmest one we've had. We had Brighton, where we went 1-0 down, and then obviously we had Aston Villa. West Ham, I was literally on a stream before. I was looking at West Ham's team. Like, you guys got a good team, man. Like, on the day, you could cause us problems 100%. Like, you see the team that started against Luton Town. You've obviously got Jared Bowen, Kudus, Lucas Paqueta, who I know people are saying he's sort of fallen off a little bit in the last month or two. But that is a good team, man. Like, do you think that these guys could cause City a problem if they turn up on the day? Because that 3. I know Antonio maybe is not an elite level striker, but that 3 of Bowen, Kudus, and Paqueta. I remember I was having a debate actually on 12th Man like months ago. That for me is, if it's not a Champions League 3, it's as close as you can get without it being a Champions League 3.
Yeah, I think defensively or offensively on our end, we can cause you problems, whether it's set pieces, whether it's link up between like Kudus, Paqueta. He's started to get back into a little swing of things, putting in those through balls. They're on point. They've been on point for Paqueta. It's just making sure someone's on the end of them. Obviously, Bowen, he's going to cause you problems massively. The problem is we are going against, one of the best attacks in world football with one of the worst defenses in the league.
Yeah, bro, I was shocked. I've just been told this morning that you guys have the 4th worst defence in the league. And I was like, no, that can't be true. This is a David Moyes side. Like, it's that really shocked me. That really shocked me. You do not expect that from a David Moyes side, do you? Usually what you expect from a David Moyes side is a bit dull football, but solid at the back. You know what I mean? A lot of 1-0 wins, 2-0s, 2-1s type thing. You don't really concede many goals. To have the 4th worst defence in the league, that for me, especially when you've got like Zuma, who, whenever I've watched Zuma this year, he's been pretty good. Like, so what is causing all the goals at the back? Because that really doesn't compute.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's the most goals we've ever conceded in the Premier League, while still watching crap football. But Zuma, as quality as he is, his legs have gone.
Really? Already? He's not young.
Yeah, he's 29. But I think a couple of injuries that he's had, have really done him over. And you can tell, like, after the games, he's limping. He walks like an old man,
Really?
and it's a shame. So he's probably gonna have a short career. And then Ogbonna's 36, but it's not even just. But we've had to keep switching up. Aguerd, when he played, which hasn't been for a while because I think he's been injured, he was making mistakes that led to goals.
He made a mistake against us in the last game that we played against you at your gaff.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And Mavropanos as well has been decent, but mistakes. So that's been a big problem is with the defense. Like, too many mistakes, not mobile enough. The back line is one of the oldest in the league, I think. I think we've got one of the oldest teams in the league. So you get, can't deal with pace. It's been really poor defensively, even though the football's been crap. It's not like Bielsa, like where we're getting to see like us losing, 5-4 or something like that. We're getting beat 5-0. Not, So it's poor, man. So that's why I don't hold any hope of us causing you enough problems to worry you. We may get a goal, but at the end of the day, this Man City team on the day will be able to score as many goals as they need or want to. You know what I mean? If you want to score a couple goals and then chill, you can. If you want to put 6 past us, you probably can. And that's, and this is going to be a team that's on the beach.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it certainly seems like if West Ham could score a goal, definitely with that attack. But like you say, with the defensive record, that has still stunned me. I couldn't believe it when someone told me this morning that it was the 4th worst defence in the league. I was like, what? That cannot be true. I mean, what's gone wrong then in that department? You put it down to individual errors at the back, but is there other stuff like Moyes getting stuff wrong? Is it structural problems? Is it like what's going on? Because that just doesn't seem like you can't put that all down to individual errors, surely.
No, it's not. Like I said, it comes down to, I think, age of the back line, the inability to cope with pace. And I think how we play as well, we're not just sitting there. We don't like hoof long balls. It's this slow passing sideways, backwards. And I think players end up switching off, and once teams press us, a lot of those errors are forced errors. Do you know what I mean? Misplaced passes, things like that. So you have like Souček giving the ball away, sloppily, issues like that. And this team, it's like once 1 or 2 go past us, that's it. The team's heads drop. There's no real leadership in the side to pick the teams up. It's like, okay, well, we've gone, 2 goals down, and that's the thing. We've never really saw out wins. I see a stat of like when we've been winning at half time, like we've only won like a handful of games that we've been winning going into half time. So from winning positions, we've lost quite a lot of games. Yeah, so there's a mentality issue.
It certainly seems like a weird year for West Ham from like my point of view, because obviously you won the cup last year, which is mega. Like, I don't think I said it on the I say this, and it's not just because I like West Ham, and obviously West Ham, Chester City, and that. I genuinely don't believe like you guys got the credit you deserved last year, because people just look at it and go, well, it's a 3rd-tier trophy, but winning in Europe is hard. It is hard, no matter if it's the Europa League, no matter if it's the Champions League or like winning it. And obviously, you see Billy, that I mean, his team got slapped up 6-2, I think it was on aggregate in the same competition. And I don't think you got the credit you deserve. But this year, you just not managed to kick on. I know obviously you was in a harder competition, and in the end, you kept. You played against Bayer Leverkusen, right, which is one of the best teams in Europe right now. But you did quite respectable, I suppose. And obviously you missed Paqueta for the second game, and I think there was one other one. Emerson maybe I think was out for that as well. But
Alvarez might have missed as well.
Yeah, you missed a few, but finishing 9th, it just feels like this could have been a season where you kicked on. It feels like a season where you kicked on, and could you have finished in maybe the top 6? I mean, how are Chelsea finishing ahead of West Ham? Yeah. I mean, they're a shambles, and they're 8 points ahead of you, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, to be fair, you've only won 1 game out of the last 5. I mean, you sort of fallen off. If you would have won a couple of those, you would have been close. But I just feel like with West Ham, I do feel like you've underachieved this year.
Mm.
And I've questioned it in the past about why West Ham fans want Moyes out because, until you watch West Ham, there was a game I watched because, I remember having a conversation with you, right? It might have been on a 12th man. And I was like, why do you want Moyes out? You've just won the Conference League, you've won the trophy. You know what I mean? And yes, last year wasn't a great season in the league, but you've just won a trophy. Why do you want him out? And then I heard you obviously say the style of football's horrendous, etc., etc. I'm like, this doesn't wash. And then I watched a game this year, and it wasn't a big match. I think I was doing a Paqueta watch, and I watched you against someone that you should have really been dominating the ball, getting on the front foot. And I was like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? And you was negative, you was very passive in the game. And it was like, I get it. I get what they're saying. But a lot of fans, I bet you still get it, don't you, off fans? Like, why do you want Morris gone? He's just won you the thing. But until you
Pundit.
watch, yeah, exactly. But until you watch West Ham, because when I watch West Ham against Arsenal or City, right, and you don't dominate the ball, like that's expected. City and Arsenal are going to dominate the ball. But when you watch you against like the lesser teams, you expect West Ham to dominate the ball, especially with the attacking players that we mentioned earlier on. Do you know what I mean? These are good football players. Bowen, Kudus, and Paqueta, all three of these three players could walk into Champions League teams, walk into them, and it look fine. There wouldn't be any sort of gap in quality. And I feel that maybe that's where Moyes just has his limitations. You've obviously getting a new manager. What do you make of that? And because for me again, he's Lopetegui getting, isn't it? Is this not
Yeah.
Is this not like is he not more of like a Moisey style, or does he, what's your take on him?
I mean, I think what I understand, he does play possession football. It's just a more boring style of possession football.
Like Van Gaal?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just that sort of really slow, patient build up. And even, I was watching your game against Spurs. I'm watching. I was watching and thinking, this. If you haven't got great players, this at times isn't great to watch. Like unless you've got quality players, because a lot of it, there is a lot of that slow build up. Because especially when teams are going to sit back as well, what are you going to do? You've got to find openings. You've got to try and pull players out of position, pass and switch. But I mean, it was frustrating the hell out of me because actually your players, I said in the chat, it reminded me of a Moyes performance because you're passing backwards so much. And it's like there's a winger out in space and you're not, making that.
I said the same thing. I think it was nerves because I said the same thing in the watch along. I was like, why do we keep passing backwards? There's players that we need to go forward. I think I probably put that down to nerves, but yeah, go on. Sorry.
Wait, so maybe that is it. But that's the thing. So I think the football will be better, and I think attacking players that we have, the quality players that will stay, will thrive a bit more. But it's not the departure from Moyes' ball that we wanted, right? It's not the complete contrast that we wanted to move away from. It's not the exciting new style of play. But my other biggest problem with Moyes is I didn't see a project there. I didn't see anything long term. Like, where are we going? It's great. We've won a trophy. Brilliant. What's next? Where are we going? Because this is a man that said time and time again he likes to work with a small squad. And this season, he shipped out players, shipped out Ben Rama, shipped out Fornals in January. We got rid of quite a few players, loaned out Flynn Downs, and then he's happy to just, not really bring other players in. He obviously brings in Calvin Phillips because he was after him for ages. But you're seeing other players like the Maxwell Cornets and that never coming on and getting any sort of minutes. So when you need them, they're there. And I think that's another reason for our downfall this season is because you look at the first half of the season, we were doing really well. We was like around 4th, 5th position. We beat Arsenal at their ground and we was riding high. New Year comes and January comes and we're expecting some freshen up, some reinforcements. Nothing comes and we fizzle out. And that's on the manager. So I need to see a project with Lopetegui. And that's what I'm hoping. Style of play aside, he's coming in as a head coach, not a manager. I want us to see us build something for the future. Youngsters. Moyes didn't really play the youngsters. Obviously, he gave young George Murphy a go after it was confirmed Moyes is leaving. A little parting gift. But he could have given him more games over the season and we would have had other players that to rely on when we get these injuries. or when we need to bring a player off the bench because plan A is not working. I want to see that. I want to move towards that. So
you need to see that. You need to be able to see the vision. There's basically like a fine line between going into a project for project's sake and having, where are we going? Like, are we just in are we in stagnation mode? Yeah, because maybe that's what you felt like. You was just like, it was stagnating. You know what I mean? And yes, it was fantastic to win the Conference League, but ultimately, like you say, what is next? You got to see the vision, and maybe you didn't see that.
I think that in the football, I just say, I think there's this weird mindset of, to part ways with a manager, you should only part ways when, you know, they've had absolute disaster. You're on the really bad. If you're a West Ham, you're on the brink of relegation. If you're a Man City, you're, you know, not qualifying for Champions League, or, you know, if you're Chelsea, not qualifying for Europe, all of that, right? I don't agree. I think you have to look and change. You have to think ahead. You have to be forward thinking and go, do you know what? I don't think we're going to progress with this manager. We're in a kind of stable position. Now's a good time to part. His contract ran out. We didn't even sack him. Perfect time. But everyone has this mindset of, if you part ways with a manager, it must mean because they've been horrendous.
I agree. Because I think that's because historically, bro, that's the only time it's ever happened. If you look back over it, especially Premier era, you know, how many managers leave a football club on just like good terms? Oh, I've took you as far as I can, so we're going to move on. Like, very, very rarely that happens. I think probably Tony Pulis is probably a good example at Stoke. That happened there. Stoke felt like he took them as far as he can. They wanted a bit of a change in style, so they moved him on for Hughes. But other than that, you're right. The only time really people leave football clubs as a manager or head coach is when it's bad. But it's weird because we don't do that with footballers.
Yeah.
You know, you don't look at a striker who maybe scores, I don't know. Say you got a striker who take Brighton for example. Say they have a striker who scores 12 goals, right? For a mid-table team, 12 Prem goals, 12, 13 goals. That's all right. It's not disaster. It's not great. You know, no one looks at that and goes, oh, well, we can't move him on because he scored 12. If you've got someone who you think can be better than that, you'll go, well, he's done good for us. 12 goals, 13 goals for Brighton in mid-table is respectable. Yeah. But if you think you can get someone in to score 20 goals, you'll sell him, or you'll say you're at your bench and you'll bring the
Pellegrini for Pep. That's the perfect example.
Yeah, exactly.
When you moved Pellegrini, wasn't a disaster as a Man City manager. He didn't win the league, but Pep was available. A new exciting project. You probably went as far as you could with Pellegrini. Thanks, Pellegrini, but we're going in this direction. And look what it's led to. Do you know what I mean? So
I think as well, you get this with Arsenal as well. I feel like Arsenal are another good example of this. Is like, you've got Arteta, who's obviously got them into a really, really good position. But then there is that question mark from some Arsenal fans of, can he take them further, or is there someone else that can take them even higher to where they are now? And I think that's the sort of same situation. Now, you've got to be brave to sack a manager who is second in the league and got you to a quarterfinals of a Champions League. But I guess, again, the same question applies. If you think there's a better manager out there, you know, you got to pull the trigger. But listen, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with West Ham. And it's you know what else is going to be interesting? To see what players you keep hold of. And this brings me on to Lucas Paqueta. Because, you know, there's a lot of City fans out there who want Lucas Paqueta. There are some City fans who don't think he's good enough. But I really like him. Now, I know you've said to me over the last weeks and months that he's sort of not been particularly good or whatever. But first of all, what are you hearing on the charges? Have you heard anything, any developments on that? Because I obviously, when I'm on Twitter, I'm not really seeing much. I'm being told next week, but it's still not done. And second of all, just like your views on Paqueta this season, and do you think that he would fit into the City team based off of what you've seen, bro?
Yeah, I mean, from last thing I did hear from the charge, maybe it was a few weeks ago, is that I think it's coming to a head to a point where they're saying, look, either charge me with something, or, you know, bring some sort of evidence, we have to have a resolution to this, you know, or, you know, it's done. So, because they're dragging it out, it doesn't seem to me that they've got any evidence, because if they had any evidence, where's the progress in the case? It's just been the accusation, which, you know, Betway, our sponsor, alerted them. all right, we're going to investigate it. Nothing since, and it's just been quiet. So it doesn't seem to me that they have anything. Again, from what I hear, is he hasn't made the bet himself. His family members did. So they have to prove that that game, and there's the footage against Aston Villa, that he picked up that yellow on purpose, which you can't prove. And they have to prove that he told his family to bet on that. Now, unless they get some sort of communication like devices, texts, how can you prove that?
Well, that's what I've
So,
said. So that at the end of the day, because he's not put the bet on, they have to prove. I feel like this should be a really easy case. Because all you have to do is, right, your family have put the bet on, which obviously is dodgy, yeah, but like at the end of the day, like you can't just charge someone because it looks dodgy. You got to have evidence, right? Do you have a text or a recording of him telling his friends or a close friend that he's going to get booked? If you have that, bang to rights, suspending, right? But if you don't have it, then what we waiting for? I had the same thing. Like apparently he's getting really pissed off because he's like, either like you say, like what you doing here? Like like West Ham probably don't really want us, up his wages massively. I mean, West Ham would probably love to keep him, but they can't just be handing out a new contract, doubling his wages because they're like, we could double your wages, you could get banned for a year. So he's being penalised by his own club because West Ham can't double his wages, right? Because obviously for the reasons I've just mentioned. He can't get a move to City because obviously City or anyone else is not going to spend 80 million quid on him if he could be banned for a year. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if maybe part of his dip in performance levels are just becoming, he's so frustrated. He's like, what the fuck is going on here? Because he's being
yeah.
penalised by the lack of availability for a transfer, or if he did want to stay, lack of a contract extension. Because West Ham can't just be handing out pay rises when they think he potentially could be banned for a year.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that probably is playing on his mind because what I'm seeing with him is been unlike him, very lax on the ball. Doesn't seem to be switched on, loses the ball quite a bit. That wasn't Paqueta. He was one of them players that he would try everything to keep hold of that ball. You will not get it off of him. And now, like, we just see him just, lackadaisical with possession. Again, not really focused. All of a sudden, he's lost the ball and it leads to a goal. So that's been a big problem. Not having that clinical striker that can feed off of his through balls and his passing range, so maybe he could have had a few more assists. So yeah, I still think there's a quality player, but he's just been so frustrating to watch. You know what I mean? That's been my problem with him. I
watched the
really
Leverkusen game, bro, and obviously the first game where he played, and he was frustrating that day. He just seemed to be kicking out at people, really frustrated. He looked like he was annoyed and angry on the football pitch, and not in a good way where it's passion. It just felt like he was a little bit pissed off. And like you say, he was leaving his foot in, kicking people, and I was just like, something's not right here. But like I say,
going down easy, barely
yeah,
standing on his feet. You know what I mean? It's just
it'll be
that's the
interesting to see
problem.
what happens.
Yeah, like if he does stay, I'd be interested to see if we are playing more possession-based football, how he would look in that system. But if he did go to Man City, then yeah, obvious. I think like him behind Haaland would be a match made in heaven. Like I said, the through balls that he like Haaland will be eating off them through balls all day long, and that I think would be a great combo, especially if De Bruyne does move on. You want someone who can play those passes, into the striker. So yeah, I think it'd be a great signing. Obviously, you're linked with Bruno Guimaraes as well. Whether you sign both or whatever, that will be very interesting. But yeah, it's gone a bit quiet. Like there was talks like about a month ago saying, "Oh, Paqueta to Man City's done," and it's like, well, the case ain't even finished yet. So
Yeah,
it's weird. I don't know if I believe that's the case, but yeah, I don't know.
Until the charges are done, nothing's happening. But it's interesting that you mentioned the through balls there, right? Because if you look at these stats from last season, these are last season stats. These are most through balls in the Premier League, right? Kevin De Bruyne, number 2, and then Ilkay Gundogan, number 7. right? And then if we go to this year, we don't have a single player in the top 10. Now we would have had Kevin De Bruyne in there had he been fit for the full season. But the facts are the facts. It's quite interesting how people are saying that Haaland's not been the same this year when last year he had 2 players in the top 7 in through balls, and this year he doesn't have a single one in the top 10. But look at that, Lucas Paqueta, joint second highest through balls in the Premier League this season. And again, when I've seen him put some of these balls that he puts over the top for like Antonio or Bowen, if Bowen's playing as a striker or whoever it is, I'm like, you're right. I think Haaland would feast. Now, whether or not Paqueta would play in the middle for us, I don't know whether he might play slightly wider. I've seen him do that for you at times, but I guess he could always drift in the middle. But I just feel like he has the quality to unlock a defence, and the stats don't lie. He loves to put the ball in behind the defence. If he did that to Haaland, I agree. I think it could be a match made in heaven, man. Really cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, he's not a winger. He's been playing on the left, but he does drift inside. So he's still putting in those through balls, even though he's on the left, because he's drifting inside and doing it. But yeah, I mean, I watched that Spurs game, and every time it seemed to be I see the players try to put in a ball through for Haaland, it's not finding him. It's getting cut out. So Haaland's where he needs to be, ready to make the run, but the balls aren't making his way to him. So if you can get that, then yeah, he's going to be back up to high levels because he's quality at that. So yeah, I think it'd be a great signing. You know what I mean? But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if it happens.
Yeah, certainly would, man. Certainly would. I'm buzzing for this Sunday, man. I am. It's one of them, like, if I analyse the game itself and I look at the two teams, I'm like, I think it should be a routine win for City, in the sense that, like, we're playing our best football. Because if you look at the facts, right, and I know this is, like, probably me jinxing it, but if you've looked at City's fixtures, like not fixtures, results recently for Man City, yeah, we've been absolutely cooking since the Arsenal game where we drew 2-2. We've played our best football. We're scoring goals, which we weren't really doing before that Arsenal game. I think there's only 2 games in our last 8 Premier League matches where we've scored less than 4 goals. And let me bring it up to just show you it. Here you go. Look at our form since the Arsenal game. Arsenal game there. Look, 4-4, 5-4-2, 5-4-2. So I look at that. I look at the fact that we're playing our best football. We're scoring goals. We're at home. It's the final game for us to win the league. And we're playing against a team that obviously beat Luton. But bar that, you've been in bad form. The manager's leaving. There's a potential that he might throw in a kid or two because it's like a parting gift to some of those younger players. But at the end of the day, bro, it's one of those. And I'm just like, you have good players. And I'm like, I think if we get the first goal, I think it's over. I think it would be over if we get that first goal. But
again, if we got the first goal, again, our track record, we don't hold on to leads. Look at the Newcastle game. We was beating them 3-1. We ended up losing that 4-3.
Yeah, I've seen it single-handedly lost you that, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I still maintain that the penalty was harsh, but yeah, I've seen it multiple times how many points we've lost from winning positions. So I know, obviously, look, as a Man City fan, you're always going to have a degree of nerves and trepidation. But for me, as a fan wanting Man City to win the league, I'm so relaxed because I know, I know what the situation is going to be. We played Chelsea, a team that, we had something to play for. We had to get something against Chelsea. We wanted to still be in the shout for Europe. We had to win that game. And that was like the last game of the season with nothing to play for. Like, the lack of movement from the players out of possession was shocking. The lack of urgency. And I've seen that time and time again. Yeah, we switched it on in the second half against Luton. It's our home game. Our home form's pretty decent, but our away form is not. So there is no reason, especially our record at the Etihad is shocking. The Moyes, we had his send off. The players had their little send off. I just can't see the players, really get. I know Antonio's waffled on about, we're going to do something.
He likes to talk him, doesn't he? He always fucking talking.
This is what I'm saying. When he talks, he doesn't back it up. He talks, he doesn't back it up. Happens time and time again. He's not going to back it up. He's not going to do anything. So, yeah, it's just going to take it. Honestly, there's no incentive for these players. I know people say, oh, well, sometimes when you've got nothing to play for, when the pressure's off, not this team. I'm telling you, I've watched these players all season and I've seen it. Like, there's no reason why we're going to get up for it. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to see the performance of the life. It's not going to be like Spurs where suddenly they turn up. Do you know what I mean? And put in the shift. Like, there's no. I would be pissed off because if these players actually put in a shift and get something, or like look like they might get something, I'm gonna be pissed because I'm like, where was this when it mattered?
Yeah,
I don't want to see it now.
Yeah,
when it
where was this a month ago when you still could have finished in the top 6?
Yeah, exactly. There's no that we get nothing apart from like 3 points. We don't change position. We maybe improve our goal difference by 1 goal or something. But there's no incentive for anyone. Moyes is checked out. I'm telling you, this is the most nailed on. I feel like I'm jinxing it now. I need to say,
I know, bro. You're actually, it's weird how this works, bro. You're actually making me more nervous by speaking about all this.
Oh, mate. But no, I know. Like, I know there's going to be, there's nothing to worry about. Because, like I said, I've just seen these players, like, all season. And, Bowen's a threat and Kudus. But I saw Kudus, we was against Chelsea. Like, Kudus was on form. Kudus was great, but no one else was. And he can't do it on his own.
Yeah.
Because you get the players around him, where's he going to go? Yeah, he is.
He's a top player.
But we have to be attacking as a team, and we don't. And that's another problem, is that even when we counter, like Kudus is up there by himself, and he's got 3 players around him. Who's he laying it off to? So even on the counter, we're not that threatening because we're just slow. Like I said, that defense, if we've got Ogbonna and Zuma in defense, like there's no reason you shouldn't be putting, 2-3 passes minimum. Like, come on, man. There's no reason.
Hopefully, bro. I've got my fingers crossed, man. I need that 4-peat, bro.
Yeah, it'd be good. Man. I know, like, there's some fans that have this, like, oh, I never want my team to lose. Like, for me, it means nothing. Like, this, if we lose this game, it means nothing to us. It affects us not one bit. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Again, we get 9th, whatever. It's not going to affect us next season. It's meaningless. It's absolutely meaningless for us. So, I could be happy. Cool, lose the game. You lost all these other games that did mean something. You think I'm worrying about this after the Europa Leagues and the Chelsea game and the Palace game and the Arsenal 6-0? I think I'm sitting there going to sweat over losing the Man City on Sunday. Nah, man.
I don't know. Do you reckon Moyes is going to do an Ange and shout at the fans? You see that? Where he turned around and shouted at that fan. And I think they kicked him out, actually. I think they kicked him out because the fan said he wanted him to lose. And Ange got the fan kicked out. That's crazy.
Yeah. This is a man that doesn't understand the rivalry. And he doesn't take accountability for his own actions. You've put Tottenham fans in a position where they want their team to lose because you didn't set this team up like that against Arsenal. Where was that? Where was this against Arsenal? No, it was the same old crap, the same old no sense of defending set pieces, all of that. Naivety defensively. And all these other games where they got battered by Newcastle and Fulham. And so I thought that was pathetic. Like, look at yourself, Ange. And he's someone that I've liked a lot. So, Moyes, he's gone regardless. So he can be upset at the fans. Like, you know what I mean?
I doubt he'll say anything. He's not going to say anything to piss the fans off when it's his last game, innit? You know what I mean? So
No, exactly. And it's not going to be, obviously, it's an away game. Like, it's not going to be as obvious. Like, the atmosphere was weird. In that Man City spot Tottenham game. But I think the West Ham fans would just go down there and just get on the piss. Like, they know. Like, if you go into Man City away, you're not going there because, I'm going to see my team win. You're just going for the away day, just for the fucking...
There is a weird City West Ham, like, connection, isn't there? Like, what's all that about? Why I don't know, man. I like West Ham. I rate West Ham, and like, you know what I mean. I'm always buzzing for West Ham and that. And like West Ham, Chester City goes around, and you know what I mean. Like, I'm sure a lot of the West Ham fans will probably get in on the beers with City fans, and a lot of them. It wouldn't. I bet a lot of these West Ham fans will stay in the ground and watch the trophy lift and that. And where's that come from?
Yeah, I can't remember what the story was, but I think it goes back years or something to when one of us got relegated and the other team, applauded them and showed respect.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that City. I think was it City that got relegated, and then West Ham fans charged over to the City fans, and it thought they thought, and then apparently they clapped them or something like that. Or one of them way around. I don't know who it was that got relegated. Probably City, not knowing City, but. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the City fans, I think, like remind West Ham fans a lot of themselves. You know what I mean? It's just like, normal working class fucking fans. You're not the team. In your city or traditionally back then. That won everything, but you supported your team through thick and thin, through relegations and everything. And there was a lot of that with us. We saw a lot of crap times. And we were still there. So I think there's that common denominator. Obviously, you've gone on to have massive success, and it gives us hope maybe one day that can be us. But yeah, I think that's where it comes from. And so yeah, like people say, like, oh, you want the league to be like the Bundesliga? It's like I don't give a shit. Like, why do I care? Like I care about Arsenal. Oh, I need Arsenal to win the league, so we're not the Bundesliga. I'm not winning it. I don't care. Man City can win it for 10 seasons in a row as long as they don't win it. Like, I don't care. If my team's not gonna win it, I don't want any of the teams I dislike to win it because of some sense of, honor and integrity of the league or something, or the sense of competition. Yeah, cool. It's cool to see a team that doesn't usually win. Leverkusen in Germany, great to see. But I ain't got a problem with Leverkusen. Do you know what I mean? If it comes to Spurs or Arsenal, yeah, I don't want to see them win a thing. And other teams like Chelsea, Man United, I like to see their misery. But Leicester was great. But yeah, I don't care. Like Man City win it for another 10 years and they call it
you know what? You know what's disingenuous about it is like for City to win the league, like we've only won the league twice by more than 5 points, I believe it is. So this year we're only going to win by 2 points, I believe, if we beat you. Last year, again, something similar, and we probably shouldn't have won it last year. It was Arsenal's own fault when they bottled it against you guys. For the 2-2. We've hunted Liverpool down before when they've ended up choking. Like a lot of the times we've won it, like it's been like Liverpool, for example, when they lost against Chelsea at home. They didn't even need to win that game. They could have drawn and still been fine. But then obviously they choked and Gerrard slipped.
People forget Man United from like the early 90s to the late noughties. Do you know what I mean? Like how many times they were winning it. I see people like Mark Goldbridge clutching his pearls over City dominating. Oh, it's disgrace. It's a shambles. It's a Bundesliga. No one's saying that when Man United winning it, every other year. Man United won 3 in a row. They won a treble. When they didn't win it one year, they were going to win it the next year. No one was up in arms then, but all of a sudden Man City's doing it now. And, it's a disgrace. We need to stop him. We need to stop City. Leave it out.
I know. No, I completely agree. Right, you doing the watch along, West Ham Fantasy V this Sunday. I'm sure we'll speak to each other during the game. You know what I mean? Maybe we can celebrate together, hopefully. Or I'll be ringing you and saying, "What the hell is your team doing? Why are you cooking us?" It's either going to be one of those two calls.
Oh, mate. My mate James, I'm doing the watch along with, goes, "Oh, yeah, we should do Poznan." And I'm like, "No way, we'll get slaughtered."
Yeah, you'll get
rough hands. There's a like, listen, I'm going to be like, yeah, I hope City win it. But there's a line.
You got to do it like, did you see expressions when Haaland scored the penalty?
Yeah.
Did you see it? And he goes, "Oh no, Haaland scored the penalty, guys. That's so disappointing." And he's just like taking the piss with it because obviously he's not asked either. But
yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna go out and like full on cheer, but you know what I mean. You go, you keep other appearances, but yeah, I'm you're not gonna see me sitting there going, "Hey," like because that won't go down well.
Buzzing. Well, big up for coming on, man. You guys can find Lawless this Sunday. He'll be doing a watch along, as I say. I'm sure I'll be speaking to him on Sunday during the game. So, yeah, it's going to be crazy, guys. Make sure you're tuned in. It's going to be our madness. What have we got coming up now? Tomorrow, I'm on with midday with Daps. We'll be doing a little preview as well. And then in the evening tomorrow, I've got Amos on. We did a great talk about the whole season, really, not just about the West Ham game. We spoke about players, transfers in and out of the football club. So make sure you tuned in for that one. If you enjoyed it, make sure you smash a like. Make sure you subscribe. Give us your comments in the comment section below. West Ham Fan TV to see Lawless and Football 12 Man's podcast. And yeah, that's it. I'll catch you in the next one. See you in a bit.